City volunteers continue to deliver disaster relief for earthquake victims in Hualien. Nutritionist gives advice on heating up milk while preserving its nutrients. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Sue. Thank you for joining us. In the aftermath of the massive earthquake in Hualien, City volunteers launched disaster relief activities, including distributions of hot foods, aid supplies, and consolation cash. Many volunteers have also been affected by the earthquake, but still put in efforts to help others.
About 150 volunteers are sharing works for disaster relief in the train and on the platform. After making sure there are no safety concerns, Taiwan Railway gives permission for volunteers to form a line crossing the rail in order to move the aid supplies more efficiently. From Dharma Master of Jinsa Boat to students of Tzu Chi schools, everyone gets involved to help regardless of age and identity.
My mother just told me to be careful because she thinks that at this point of time is when young people should overhelp.
It's the first time I experienced such a massive earthquake, and I was a bit scared.
Lin Qilo comes to Taiwan for school all the way from Africa. Although she was frightened by the earthquake, she is willing to be part of the efforts to help disaster relief. From morning to dawn, local residents and tourists in the shelter are still frightened and worried. Some people insist to sleep next to the exit so they can escape in time, fearing that there will be another earthquake. Dharma masters from Jinsa Boat spread blankets for them and closed the doors so the cold wind wouldn't come in. Volunteers helped this foreign family of 3 to adjust the 2 single beds into a double bed for them to sleep more comfortably. Day and night, volunteers provided hot foods all day long. Under the heavy rain, volunteers visit the tents one by one and bring the comfort letters and allowance from Master Zhenyan to encourage the earthquake victims.
Please take care and love yourself and pass down the love to others in the future.
In a related story, the earthquake victims are in need of Jinsa folding beds and warm clothes. To ensure the quake victims no longer need to sleep on the floor, volunteers from Yilan and Luodong have delivered Jinsa folding beds to Hualien. Meanwhile, after affected residents posted a Facebook message saying that they need warm clothes, so the volunteers immediately delivered them. Earthquake victims in Hualien have posted a message on Facebook saying they need warm clothes. 2 hours later, city volunteers have delivered brand new warm clothes and socks to them.
You want XL, right? If not, you can change it. Try it first. If it doesn't fit, come get another one.
There are all sizes for both male and female. Even 90-some-year-old grandma has come with expectations. Everyone picks the right items, not wanting to let the grandma down. However, the sizes were not right. The volunteers keep searching. Finally, grandma wears the warm clothes that fits her. She can't wait to show it to everyone. Finally, the affected residents break into laughter with joy.
We'll wish you well. You are safe. That means you are blessed.
Jinsa Boat's Dharma masters feel for the affected residents. They warm their hearts with kind words.
You did not take your clothes with you. No, no one has. The master is giving you some emergency cash for you to buy some clothes. It is important to take care of your health now.
Upon getting the message that affected residents need Jingsi folding beds, volunteers from Yilan and Luodong immediately mobilized to take the train to deliver 93 Jingsi folding beds to Hualien.
We need to load all the supplies onto the truck for them to deliver to our location. Therefore, we will move twice. First, we unload them and place them on the platform, then we move them onto our truck.
Once the train arrives, people line up to unload the 93 Jingsi folding beds. Volunteers in Yilan and Hualien are working together in hopes that the affected residents can have quality sleep utilizing these Jingsi folding beds. Zhonghua Elementary School in Hualien serves as one of the temporary shelters for earthquake victims. To provide disaster relief aid, Tzu Chi Foundation has set up a service center next to the school auditorium.
Losing contact with this woman for nearly 2 days, Tzu Chi volunteer Shu Fangyu never thought that she could find this familiar figure at the Zhonghua Elementary School.
I've been looking for her and I have kept this thing in my mind. Things happen naturally as I encounter her unexpectedly. I feel deeply moved, really.
The person Sue is referring to is this 91-year-old grandma, Ah-in. Because she worries about aftershocks, she and her caregiver came to stay in a temporary shelter. Ah-in felt surprised to meet the volunteer who has done care for her just like her daughter. This is Hualien's Zhonghua Elementary School, which serves as one of the temporary shelters for the residents affected by the earthquake. Tzu Chi volunteers have also set up a recycling point here. With the guidance of teachers, students from Tzu Chi University of Science and Technology use their winter break doing their parts to help.
They are students from the departments of nursing and medical imaging and radiological sciences. During their winter break, most of them stay at school doing voluntary work or experiments. Since we have this opportunity today, we brought the students to care for less fortunate people and to learn from this experience.
Because we're doing recycling, we hope everything we do can make the earth a better place to live. I think it is meaningful doing some good deeds after the disaster.
People who volunteer to help are not only Tzu Chi volunteers, but also Bai Li Song, who was originally from Yunnan, China, who married a Taiwanese man. After she learned the news about the earthquake from social media, she took initiative to join the ranks of volunteers.
Now I feel that we had these earthquakes because Mother Earth feels uncomfortable and she has to release discomfort. At least I'm safe, so I come to help and comfort people in need. I'll do what I can to help them.
After a massive earthquake rocked Hualien, many aftershocks continue to occur. These volunteers who have devoted selflessly have set a good example, teaching us how to protect planet Earth.
Rescuers found another body, that of Jiang Zhenchang, on February 8th. He was found under the rubble of a partially collapsed building. Here's more.
The ninth death, Jiang Zhenchang, of February 6th earthquake in Hualien, eastern Taiwan, was pulled from the rubbles of partially collapsed Yunmen Cuiti building, and the firefighters sent his body to the funeral home at 11:28 a.m. on February 8th. He was someone who embraced freedom greatly in his family's heart, but ended up being trapped in the building, making his death unbearable for his family.
When I heard the bad news, I was very devastated and sad. I just wanted to bring him home. I still am very thankful for the rescue team for trying all that they can to get my father out. I'm deeply grateful for them.
Dharma masters from Jingsi abode and volunteers come to the funeral home to give his family support and comfort.
这个无常什么时候要来都不知道，虔诚感祝福你哈，保重哈。
The 64-year-old Jiang Zhenchang was a night shift staff at the Beauty Inn Hotel for about a year, and he was also the volunteer police officer of Fengchuan Police Bureau. In his partner's mind, he was a passionate and responsible man. They were all very sorry for losing such a good brother.
He has been a volunteer policeman for a long time, and he was enthusiastic to help. He was a very responsible officer, and we all grieve deeply for losing such a person.
Life is impermanence, but all of his fellow volunteer policemen and families gather at the funeral home to accompany him for the last journey in this world, hoping he could rest in peace.
In the aftermath of the massive earthquake in Hualien, it is important to pay attention to the fact that quake survivors might suffer post-traumatic stress. Psychiatrists point out that some quake survivors might enter the chaotic period when they feel emotionally unstable. In the aftermath of the earthquake, the survivors might start to cry or shout. People with history of psychological illness or traumatic experiences might become emotionally unstable. If the condition arises, one should seek medical treatment.
失去自我的感觉，好像自己也不是自己。
They might lose the sense of self as if they are not themselves. They might even become numb in the chaotic period. If such people can gradually calm down, they can return to normal life.
The doctor explains, in the aftermath of a disaster, survivors might experience chaotic period and become emotionally unstable. Then they will experience the alert period when they talk fast and have nightmares. In 2 weeks to a month, they reach the calming period when they might develop negative thoughts or isolate themselves.
The Departments of Health will provide assistance to deal with post-traumatic psychological problems. Since the stress might last for a long time, we will do follow-ups for up to half a year.
Currently, there are about 200 psychiatrists and psychological counselors in Hualien who can go to the disaster areas. Occupational therapists are also mobilizing to help out. They will also pay attention to the rescue workers and medical staff who might feel stressed.
We will implement the project called Care for the Carer, meaning we will care for the people caring for the quake victims. We might place them in small groups of 3 to 5 people or even 10 people and ask occupational therapists to help them.
It is important for the sensitive earthquake survivors to hear less news about the earthquake so they won't be left with psychological remnants of the disaster. As the temperature drops, many people like to heat up milk before drinking it. However, a nutritionist suggests that one should not overheat milk.
雅婷，冰淇淋壶练不？
有啊，爸爸，我帮你热一杯好吗？
There are many ways to heat up milk. Be careful and do not spoil it.
If we heat it to 121 degrees Celsius for 20 minutes, its vitamin B10 would be totally lost, along with 60% of its vitamins B1 and B6, and 70% of its vitamin C.
Milk contains carbohydrates, calcium, protein, minerals, and vitamins. The higher the temperature, the more nutrients are lost.
I just warmed it up a little bit. I do not want it to be too hot.
Nutritionists suggest that it is best to control the milk's temperature at somewhere between 40 to 50 degrees Celsius. In addition, it is better to place it in a jar to be warmed up than water.
If we overheat milk, there might be Maillard reaction, which could reduce the quality of protein, affecting protein amino acids.
Foods that are high in oxalic acid, such as spinach and chocolate, are not suitable to be consumed with milk, as the calcium absorption might be affected.
Since I produce too much gastric acid if I drink much milk, I usually do not drink that much.
While some people drink it every day, people with lactose intolerance cannot drink milk. Since milk contains lactose, once drunken, lactase can break it down into glucose and galactose. If one lacks lactase, he might feel bloated after drinking milk.
First, we can consume small amount of milk. Secondly, we can find replacements such as beans or green vegetables, which contain high calcium. Thirdly, we can eat some yogurt. Do not drink milk with an empty stomach.
To obtain calcium, drinking milk is not the only way. People who are allergic to milk can also get adequate nutrients from other foods. 93-year-old Xie Changjing has been engaged in recycling for over 20 years. Despite his old age, Xie still perseveres in his recycling mission.
Right, it's no use sitting at home all day. I must go out to take a look. Everybody there is familiar with each other. We must go out every day, even on a very cold day. I go out at regular time, whether or not there's anything to do. Everybody goes out to have a chat, and that's the day we have. Elderly people should avoid being lazy. The older, the more exercises one needs to do. There's no certain amount of recyclables we must collect. At least I do exercise, because I need to use my strength to pull recyclables.
I'm wondering if I can keep serving society like him. It's our goal, and I will keep it in my mind. I hope one day I can also become other people's goal.
3 years ago, my wife and I collected recyclables together. Now that she has problems with her legs, I ask her not to do the work. I can do it by myself. I ask her to take her time and not to rush if she needs to do something. Most of the time, Tzu Chi will come to collect the recyclables. When people living nearby have recycled resources, they may put them here. In Tzu Chi, people don't care how much we have done. We can still exercise even if we only have a few recyclables to pull or drag. I can make good use of my time. I should always take my time and do not rush. It's no use rushing all the time. I will do what I can to help if I have time.
To honor Buddha Day, Mother's Day, and Tzu Chi Day, Tzu Chi volunteers held Buddha Day ceremonies in 40 countries and regions around the world. In Taiwan, the first ceremonies were held in 4 different locations at the same time. This year, the ceremony in Taipei included a drum and bell presentation. The ceremony drew over 30,000 participants, including firefighters, police officers, foreign dignitaries, the general public, and Dharma masters from several monasteries across Taiwan. Taiwan's president and other government officials also attended. Buddha Day ceremonies were also held in many other countries around the world. In the Philippines, locals gave a drum and bell presentation at the Buddha Day ceremony by using bamboo as drumsticks, plastic water containers as drums, and pots as bells. In Mozambique, over 1,600 people took part in the Buddha Day ceremony and sang a prayer they composed in a local dialect. In June, unusually heavy rains caused severe disasters across Taiwan. Tzu Chi immediately set up a disaster relief coordination center at its headquarters. Tzu Chi members quickly mobilized to bring care to those affected.
我吃到的第一份菜。就是吃这个。
The volunteers also helped to clean up houses affected by floods.
尤其我很谢谢我们的大爱，
To build a retaining wall for a temple in the mountains, even the female volunteers helped to carry heavy bags of sand up the stairs step by step. In a dark, inundated basement, Tzu Chi volunteers worked together to clean out the water and debris, bucket after bucket. Most of the volunteers are in their 60s or even 70s. Although they were tired out, all of them served willingly with joy, despite being covered in mud from head to toe. In northern Taiwan, Tzu Chi members took part in a series of mountain cleanup events sponsored by the government. For decades, trash left by hikers and vendors had turned the mountain into a large dumping ground. Many businesses, volunteer groups, and the general public also came to give a hand. To remove the litter on the slopes, Tzu Chi volunteers secured everyone with ropes to ensure that no one lost their balance and fell. The bamboo poles people used as canes to walk uphill became shoulder poles to carry trash back down the mountain. In the Philippines, Tzu Chi's medical volunteers went to Bohol Island to hold a free eye clinic for the locals.
We're so lucky that maybe soon he can see again and go back to school.
21-year-old Regine League suffered from severe scoliosis. With the help of Tzu Chi, she came to Taiwan to receive surgery.
At saka nagpapasalamat po ako kay Master Ching yan, lalo na po sa Tzu Chi.
In Ormoc, after Tzu Chi's typhoon relief efforts in 2013, many locals have been inspired to serve as Tzu Chi volunteers and can now conduct charity work on their own. To further promote recycling in Ormoc, Tzu Chi signed an MOU with the city government to conduct recycling work in over 100 districts across the city.
And we're very happy that Tzu Chi is behind this program. No?
The local volunteers even composed a song to encourage everyone to take up recycling.
As the Lunar New Year comes to an end, DaAi TV's managing director and management personnel have begun a tour to thank recycling volunteers for supporting DaAi TV. They went to several recycling stations in Taipei. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.